Now, I thought you'd be hard-pressed to find a better take on the epic parade failure than that from California Governor Gavin Newsom.
It's a vulgar display. It's the kind of thing you see Kim Jong-un, you see it Putin, you see it with dictators. What an embarrassment.
But just watch the faces of these Fox News hosts as one of their guests turns on Trump live on it, exposing, in fact, how much he doesn't care about the military.
Look, I think if this is a president who wanted to honor the military, he wouldn't be proposing 80,000 VA cuts. If this was a president who actually cared about the military, he wouldn't be freezing $2 billion worth of contracts or having a Secretary of Defense leaking attack plans on Signal. In contrast, we had people from Idaho to Ohio to Arkansas to Massachusetts stand up and say that this country, with due process being taken away, with children being separated from their mothers, is not something we stand for. People will not take this lying down, and this is just the beginning.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Trump's military parade that conveniently fell on his 79th birthday was everything but a success, with videos circulating online that basically write the SNL skits themselves, exposing, in fact, how much he doesn't care about the military. It was an expensive ego-stroking affair with the American taxpayers picking up the bill. And in response, there were some takes worth looking into. This first from Republican Senator Rand Paul, who is destined to have that infant MAGA hat revoked as he shamelessly posed with it recently if he continues to speak out against his fearless cult leader.
You know, I'm all for the president appearing and doing enlistment ceremonies at military bases. I've been with the president at Dover to receive home our dead soldiers. And so those who have been killed in action and to mourn their loss. But I just never liked the idea of the parade because I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and the only parades I can remember are Soviet parades for the most part, or North Korean parades. And the parades I remember from our history were different. You know, everybody remembers that famous scene of the soldier, you know, dipping the girl and kissing the girl in New York in a ticker tape parade. But we were rejoicing the end of war, and we were rejoicing our soldiers coming home. And that absolutely ought to be commemorated and discussed every year. Memorial Day, Veterans Day. But we never glorified weapons so much. And I know he means well. I don't think he means for any of this to be depicted in another fashion, but I'm just not a big fan. And then there is the cost. I mean, we're $2 trillion in the hole, and just an additional cost like this, I'm not for it.
I do want to get...
Then as Fox News toiled with what was a telling weekend considering the No Kings protests completely overshadowed every aspect of Trump's parade, happened to give a platform to a guest who wasted no time reprimanding the president over his lip service.
That's about as small as it gets. How weak do you have to be to commandeer the military to fet you on your birthday in a vulgar display of weakness? That's Donald Trump.
What's interesting about what he's doing is not just what he's saying, but where he is saying it. He had an exclusive on the MeidasTouch network with his address to the nation, with 2 million people seeing that. MeidasTouch is getting 22 million views every 2 days. He had Brian Tyler Cohen, a YouTuber, into the Emergency Operations Center to do an interview. It just shows that I think he's learning the lessons, candidly, of 2024, that Democrats didn't do enough to communicate more to independent media, which I think is exciting. Look, I think if this is a president who wanted to honor the military, he wouldn't be proposing 80,000 VA cuts. If this was a president who actually cared about the military, he wouldn't be freezing $2 billion worth of contracts or having a Secretary of Defense leaking attack plans on Signal. In contrast, we had people from Idaho to Ohio to Arkansas to Massachusetts stand up and say that this country, with due process being taken away, with children being separated from their mothers, is not something we stand for. People will not take this lying down, and this is just the beginning.
Now, this comes as Americans and people across the world showed up in droves to reject Trump's policies and everything that he stands for. Policies that continue to poll so poorly across the board.
Trump really wants to see this go through. Support or oppose, you've got 27 at support, 53 at oppose, and 20 say they don't know at this point what they think about it.
And the thing is, as I said over the weekend, right, Trump's objective regarding the parade was the same objective he had when he decided to bring in the National Guard without following correct protocol in Los Angeles. It was one big distraction.
If this turns into another summer of unrest, what are you prepared to do, sir?
About what?
If this turns, well, the protests have spread now to 16 cities across the U.S. If this turns in...
That's what you're saying. Do I believe you? I don't think so.
Well, I got that from the Fox News Brain Room.
Charlie, I beg of you to agree with me on this. So the U.S. military historically does not do these kinds of parades. This is stuff, to Tim Walz's point, that you see in China, you see in Russia, North Korea. GOP senators and congresspeople are not going to the parade because they don't like it. Politico polled 50, only 7 are showing up, and they're folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Don't you think that this is not the right signal to be sending?
Sadly, I'm going to disappoint you.
Stop it.
This is what's great about a populist, and maybe troublesome to some people about a populist. We paid for all this stuff, and it's fun to see it all. He's like taking taxpayers and saying, thank you for giving us the greatest military on earth, and we're going to run it through the streets and celebrate the Army's 250th birthday.
I'm not surprised, but I'm surprised you guys.
I think you're so brave, Jessica, coming out against this. Now do the Pride Parade.
Well, the Pride Parade. It's not something that looks like it's out of Moscow. What are you talking about?
Definitely not.
If a Democratic president was having a military-themed birthday party,
they never would.
But you're okay with the Pride Parade, Pride Month.
What?
We got a whole Pride Month. But you're upset about one parade for the military for the 250th birthday. But hey, let's have a Pride Parade. I say let's combine
Celebrate the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army.
You can celebrate it without rolling tanks through
Jessica,
to try and deflect from the bombshell that Elon Musk dropped and then tried to walk it back, and also to deflect from his own shortcomings as president, especially on issues that he promised he would deliver on by now.
Well, speaking of 2020, there was a comment that the president made then about whether or not he could deploy and activate the National Guard. I want you to listen to what he said then.
We have laws. We have to go by the laws. We can't move in the National Guard. I can call insurrection, but there's no reason to ever do that. Even in a Portland case, we can't call in the National Guard unless we're requested by a governor.
The law, of course, has not changed since then. So what has?
Or issues involving Iran, like he blasted previous presidents over only to go and do the exact same thing that he was once critical of.
Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective.
There's no doubt that he banked on his big, beautiful parade being the biggest distraction of all. But all it did was shine more of a light on the mass movement against his administration.
Around the world that are weak and just want to demonstrate strength. Weakness masquerading as strength. To fet the dear leader on his birthday, that's Donald Trump.
No kings, no crowns. No jail for speech. No kings, no crowns.
Right, so we're going to take 6,000 soldiers away from their family, away from their training. These folks are people that deploy all the time. We're going to take tanks from Texas, put them on rail cars and ship them to Washington, D.C. We're going to line the streets of Washington, D.C. with metal plates so those tanks don't rip it up, right? All for the cost of over $50 million. Right? That is wrong. It takes soldiers away from their families, away from their mission. It wastes taxpayer dollars. I just don't have time for parades.
And rejection of his isolationist ideals that he seeks to instill in this country. Rejection that, as I said, wasn't just on show on home soil, but across the world.
Are we close to seeing Mr. Kim here at the White House?
Could happen. I mean,
they talked about that yesterday.
I think it's something that could happen. Yeah. Hey, he's the head of a country, and I mean, he is the strong head. Don't let anyone think anything different. Right. He speaks, and his people sit up at attention. I want my people to do that.
Everyone coming to the mall tomorrow is excited about the parade as the president. Many Americans across the country, hundreds of protests are planned under the banner of No Kings.
Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey. Donald Trump has got to go.
Right here, if this continues, LA's not going to let it go. We are here. They have to realize that no one came to this country. Country came to us. We are here. We're not going anywhere. Okay, we serve this country right here. Look, I give my life to this country, but we got to do it right. Not for this jerk, not for this guy.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for saying hello.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.meidastouch.com. All 100% USA union made.